What brings you in tonight, Margaret? I asked, stifling a yawn. It was nearly 5 a.m, 13 minutes until my shift ended, not that I'm counting. I fell into the creek a few hours ago. I think I breathed in some water. I've been coughing and having some breathing trouble. Okay, Mulberry Creek? She nodded. How did you fall into the creek? The creek was at the edge of town under an old bridge, and the road wasn't well traversed. No one in their right mind would go in the creek in this terrible storm when a flooding was a risk, so she must be incredibly dumb or have a really good reason. I was leaving town to visit my son, and I took that road, not Route 81, because of the traffic. But as I crossed the bridge, I heard something. Her dark eyes flicked up at me. Someone was crying for help. I felt a shudder as she said those words. It sounded like a little boy or a girl, I don't know, crying for help. I stopped the car and peered over the side, and when I did, I saw something in the water, a flash of something. So I went down there to try and help, So when I got down there, no one was there, but then I slipped. She cut off as she fell into a coughing fit. I walked over to her with my stethoscope. It's okay, just rest. I'll give your lungs a listen, and the doctor will be in a second. I raised the stethoscope to her chest and listened to her breathe, and my heart stopped. I didn't hear the normal sound of air whooshing in and out of her lungs. I didn't hear the unhealthy, troubling sound of wheezing. I heard the unmistakable sound of rushing water. Faint, but I heard it. I leapt back, and the woman looked at me concerned. Is everything okay? Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah. I put the stethoscope back to her lungs and breathed in relief. Now I heard the normal sounds of her breathing, not even wheezing or other troubling sounds, just breathing. You sound okay to me. Let me just listen to the back, and the doctor will be in. Damn it, where the hell is he? The attending physician tonight was Dr. Johnson, a man known for 3-hour lunches and unfettered procrastination. I pressed the stethoscope to her back and listened. I heard the sound of breathing, in, out, but then, just as I started to step away, I heard something else. A weird hissing sound. A whisper. The sound grew louder, overlapping whispers, weaving into one another. I froze, stethoscope glued to her back. Sound exploded in my ears as she began to cough. I yanked the stethoscope away. Sorry, she muttered through coughs. I can't. Her body convulsed as she coughed up a mouthful of water. It splashed to the floor, more water than would have seemed possible for her to talk and function. The whispers again filled my ears, then quickly died away, and we both stared at it in horror. The door swung open. Hello, I'm Dr. Johnson, and what brings you to... I rushed past him and out the door as fast as I could, and as soon as I got to the nurse's station, I called the local police department. Officer Jackson, you need to station somebody at the bridge on Mulberry Creek. We just had a... I know all about it. The woman called in a few hours ago saying that she thought someone was drowning, but we swept the area. There was no one there. That's not what I'm calling for. My patient, the woman you spoke to, was lured into the water. Whoever... I had to stop myself from saying whatever. It's down there, may learn more. I'm sorry, Jolene. All of our officers are busy clearing up from the storm. Lot of down power lines, basement floodings, that kind of thing. I hung up on him. I would have to take matters into my own hands. My shift ended in 2 minutes anyway. I got into my little Aconda Accord and drove through town. The rain was still driving in sheets, turning the roads into rivers. My headlights bounced off the water and nearly blinded me. The windshield wipers swung past at a mile a minute. Soon the bridge was in my sights, smeared and blurry through the torrential rain. I parked in the middle and got out of the car, thunder crashing in my ears. I looked down into the creek. The water was turbulent, rolling and frothing like rapids. The rain pelted down on me, ice cold, but I didn't stop. Only a few minutes passed before I heard the voice. Except this time, it wasn't crying for help. It was a low voice echoing out from under the bridge, and it said, above the din of the rain and the rumbling thunder, I know what you did, Jolene, and I will tell everyone, unless you come down here. I gripped the cold railing of the bridge. Then I slowly took a step down onto the steep, rocky ledge. So, you know the procedure here, right? Dr. Dobra asked, rubbing his palms together. You add a bit of hydrochloric acid to the IV. It's quick and painless. I stared at him, hands frozen on the blood pressure cuff. Dr. Dobra, that would kill the patient. Exactly. What? Well, we obviously can't let her go on like this. It's all the suffering, the pain. I just stared at him. She fainted from low blood pressure. She's not in pain? Oh. And that thing is kind of illegal, anyway? My fingers reached around my phone. Should I call the police? But Am I even sure Dr. Dobra was telling me to kill her? Maybe I misunderstood him. To be clear, Jolene, I am telling you this patient needs to be dead in the next 45 minutes. Oh, can you give me a second? I stepped into the hallway and pulled out my phone and immediately dialed the hospital administrator, Cameron Lopez. It rang twice before he picked up. Hello? He said. Dr. Dobra is telling me to kill a patient. I whispered. What? Surely you misunderstood. No, I didn't misunderstand at all. All she did was faint, and now he wants me to euthanize her. Jolene? Suddenly his tone was different. Calm. Cold. Is the patient, by any chance, Edith Baker? Yeah. Edith. The family has already signed the documents to take her off life support. They wanted it done as possible. He trailed off. She isn't on life support. Oh, so someone took her off already? Good. Then she should be deceased within the hour then. No, she was never on life support, don't you understand? Dr. Dobra is asking me to commit murder. He's telling me to take hydrochloric acid and put it in her IV. Silence. I looked at my phone. The caller disconnected. When I dialed him again, it went to voicemail. I walked back into the room, my mind reeling. Dr. Dobra glanced at me, then Edith. But why? I finally asked. Why what? Why am I supposed to kill her? Kill? That's a harsh word, he said thoughtfully, tapping the pen to his chin. I stared at him, incredulous. That's what you're asking me to do? She's infected. That's what we have to do. Infected? I stared at the patient, Edith Baker. She lay in a hospital bed, slumped to one side, looking a little bit pale. She was actually in excellent health for her age, 72 with a low blood pressure, a healthy weight, and a bright outlook on life. Infected with what? Coronavirus? He laughed, the sadistic fool. No, much worse than that. It's beep. His pager went off. Sorry, I've got to take this, he said, rushing to the door. You understand what to do, right? All good? Gave me thumbs up. I raised my hand, shaking, and gave him one back. I'd never broken a patient out of hospital before. This could get me arrested, or worse, fired. I pushed the stretcher. The wheels rolled across the linoleum, echoing through the halls. Snatches of conversation reached my ears as I passed the open doors to each room. When I saw Dr. Johnson standing near room 400 flirting with another nurse, I just kept my head down. He didn't even notice me. I made it to the back doors. With a few clumsy manoeuvres, I managed to keep the doors open long enough to roll her out. Then I pulled her down the ramp and started across the dark parking lot. Something grabbed my arm. Hard. I whipped around. Edith was sitting straight up, sheet wrapped around her waist, hand gripped on my wrist, squeezing tight. Edith? She opened her mouth. For a moment, no sound came out. Just her blue eyes blazing into mine in the darkness, and then a voice. Mummy, I'm scared. It was the voice of a little girl. Mummy, please, I'm so scared. Every hair stood on end. I tried to back away, but the old lady only gripped tighter. My mind raced. I glanced at the door of the hospital, but it was quiet, closed, of course. I made a grand effort to sneak out. No one knew where I was, and no one was coming to save me. Everything will be okay. Everything will be okay, sweetie, the woman said again, but in a young woman's voice. Tears welled up in my eyes. I tried to wrench my hand away, fighting with every ounce of my strength. But, Mummy, I'm scared. Please stay. I can't, but I promise you, everything will be okay. The woman stared at me, her eyes sunk deep into her head, her old mouth stretching into a grin. She canted her head, examining me, watching my reaction. Then she blinked, and her blue eyes changed to inky black. She lunged forward, sharp nails clawing into my shoulder, and my body hit the ground. My screams echoed across the parking lot. I don't know how long I was on the ground, fighting for my life, but when they finally pulled her off me, blood stained the asphalt. And then the old woman was running towards the woods, hospital gown fluttering behind her. Damn it, Jolene, Cameron said, helping me up. I thought I was perfectly clear on the phone. I watched Dr. Dobra and two other nurses chase her into the forest. A crash, a shout, a scream, and then nothing. I'm sorry, I said, rubbing my stinging shoulder. I understand now why you told me to kill her. And I did, because the woman's voice was my mother's voice. A voice I haven't heard in 15 years, since she died. And that little girl's voice was my own. Jolene, Dr. Anthony said, poking his head in. Can I borrow you for a second? Really? Now? I glanced longingly at the handsome man sitting on the bed, Henry Hildorf. It was the first time I'd ever had a patient that I knew. Henry was a high school classmate. Back then, he was a scrawny, nerdy guy who left cute notes in my locker, and now he'd bloomed into a green-eyed, black-haired, gorgeous specimen of a man. Go ahead, Henry said, in that smooth, beautiful voice. I'll still be here. Oh, screw you, Dr. Anthony, I hate you. Okay, I'll just be a minute. No worries, Jolene. My name, he said my name. That's flirting, right? Followed Dr. Anthony down the hall. What's so important that you had to pull me away from a patient? I huffed, almost jogging to keep up with him. I need you to take a look at Henry's x-ray. He made a sharp left and ducked into the x-ray room. For being a new hire, he sure knew his way around. I'm not even an imaging tech, I'm a nurse. He turned to me, a grim look on his face. You don't have to be anything to see what's wrong here. He pulled out a black translucent sheet from a pile. Then he snapped the image up onto the lighted panel. Henry's broad shoulders lit up, and along with his spine and his neck. I froze. His neck. It was snapped. An inch gap or more right in the centre of his neck, surrounded by fractured vertebrae. His neck hung slightly, but horribly, askew. There is no way that man should be walking, said Dr. Anthony, his eyes on me. There's no way he should even be alive. What are you suggesting? That man in that room is not Henry Hildorf. It may look like him, talk like him, carry his memories, but it isn't him. He flicked the lighted panel off and walked towards me. I need your help, Jolene. My help? I need you to lead him to the elevator. Tell him that you're taking him to my office. Okay. And don't let him know that you know. I narrowed my eyes at him. Well, I didn't know until you just showed me, so, you know. I know, just if you can get him into the elevator without him knowing, that would be great. I'll take it from there. You'll take it from there? What's that supposed to mean? Just trust me, okay? Fine. I walked back out into the hallway, Dr. Anthony following close. I grabbed the doorknob of exam room 4. I took a deep breath, put on my sweetest face, and then I pushed the door open. Henry, good news. Your x-rays are in for your, neck pain. I gave him a smile, avoiding his eyes, and busied myself, organising the tongue depressors. Thanks, Jolene. His voice was smooth and low behind me. Dr. Anthony wants to discuss the results with you in his office. I'll lead you there. Wait, I slowly turned round. Yes? He just stared at me. For a full 30 seconds, he just stared, and my blood ran cold. Does he know? I miss you, he said. Phew. You know, in high school I always had a crush on you, he said. His green eyes lingered on me with a warm smile. You were so sweet and smart. I laughed awkwardly. And you still are. Thank you. Now, we really need to go. Dr. Anthony is wait. Come on. I know you feel it too, don't you? He stood up and walked towards me, and I nearly gagged. He smelled terrible. Stale, rotten, like garbage and body odour all in one, and as he loomed closer, I noticed it. The bend in his neck, causing his head to hang ever so slightly to the left. It was almost imperceptible. Almost. No! I ran out of the room and slammed the door shut, held it closed as it thumped. Jolene, he called. I just want to talk to you. The door shook. We really need to install locks on these doors, I thought. Like, really. I took a deep breath. Get him to the elevator. My heart pounded in my chest. I'd seen all the zombie movies. Brainless, evil things looking to rip people apart. Things without reason, without emotion, without love, only hunger. I pulled the door open and ran as fast as I could down the hall. Predictably, he shambled after me. Jolene, wait, he called. Please, I just want to talk to you. Skidded to a halt in front of the elevator, jammed the button a dozen times. Come on, I muttered. Come on. Ding! I rang into the elevator. Dr. Anthony waited inside. What about not letting him know? He hissed. I'm getting him into the elevator, aren't I? I shot back. This is not the way I would have done it. Well, too bad. Thump, thump. Henry walked into the elevator, his face flushed red. Jolene, he said, breathless. Thank goodness I caught up to you. Please, I just want to... I stepped out of the elevator. I'm sorry, Henry. Even if it wasn't really himself, I still felt a twinge of sadness. He always was a good guy, and he didn't deserve this. Thank you, Jolene, Dr. Anthony said. As the elevator doors slowly closed, Dr. Anthony broke into a smile. Ding! One of the other nurses ran up behind me. Jolene, are you okay? What was that all about? Nothing, I said hurriedly. Just helping Dr. Anthony with something. Dr. Anthony? Yeah, that new guy. She looked at me, puzzled. Jolene? There's no Dr. Anthony that works here. What? I just stared at the elevator, my heart sinking. It was headed for the basement.